This video is on linear review. We're going to be looking at a word problem. The word problem states that Dracula is making bracelets for a charity fundraiser. He already had 22 that his friend Frankenstein made, but adds on 6 more bracelets every 15 minutes. So the first question says, what is a linear function that could model the situation? Let t represent time in minutes and b of t represent number of bracelets made. So if we want a linear function, we want our slope and our y-intercept. So if we look at slope, remember slope is change in y over change in x. So it says let t represent the time in minutes. This is going to be our independent variable. This is going to be our x. So I'm just going to put a little note down here. This is what we consider our x. And then b of t is what we consider our y. So our time is our x value, and our bracelets are our y value. So we want the change in y over the change in x. So the change in bracelets over the change in time. So we actually have that he adds on 6 more bracelets. So that's the change in bracelets. This 6 more bracelets is the y. It's the change in y every 15 minutes. So our time is that change in 15 minutes. This is our change in x. So, and it also says every 15 minutes. That means the change in y for every change in x. So we have 6 more bracelets every 15 minutes. So our slope is change in y of 6 over the change in x of 15. That will simplify. 3 goes into both of these numbers. 3 goes into 6 2 times, and 3 goes into 15 5 times. So what that means is Dracula can actually add on 2 bracelets every 5 minutes. We also want to look for our y-intercept. Our y-intercept is the starting value. So if we look back at the original word problem, it says that he already had 22 that his friend Frankenstein made. So he already had 22 bracelets to start with. He didn't start at 0. So since he already had 22, this is our y-intercept. So we would write this as 0, 22. What this 0 means again is since t is time, our x is time, at the starting time, he had 22 bracelets already, because that's what Frankenstein gave him. Now that we have our slope and our y-intercept, we can write it out in linear format. Now generally we would use y equals mx plus b. So if I wrote it in y equals mx plus b, I would have y equals, our slope is 2 over 5, x plus b, plus that 22. But since it's asking us to let t represent the x and b of t represent the y, we would write it as b of t equals 2 over 5 t plus 22. I will put a little tail on my t's because I don't want it to look like a plus sign. So this is our function. Once we have the equation of the line, we can do any questions based on it. So for part B and C, we have to use this equation to help us answer these. So for part B, it says to evaluate b of 35 and write a sentence interpreting the answer. So b of 35. It originally said b of t. This is what it normally says, b of t. The difference is that instead of it saying t, it says 35. That actually lets us know that that t is now 35. So if we use this equation, we already know what we want to put here of b of t. We want to put b of 35. So we put this b of 35 equals. So the 2 over 5 is just a value, so we put 2 over 5. But now the t, we actually know what we want to put in for the t. The t is 35. So we're going to put in parentheses 35, and then we're going to put that plus 22. And now we evaluate. So we have b of 35 equals 2/5 times 35 is really 2 times 35 which is 70, but then we divide it by the 5. So 70 divided by 5 is 14. Then we still have that plus 22. So the answer for this is B of 35 is equal to 36. Now it also asks to write a sentence interpreting this answer. So to interpret this answer, we want to talk about both of these numbers, 35 and 36. The 35 represented the time. That's 35 minutes. So after 35 minutes, Dracula will, so the next word is either going to be have or make, because we're talking about the bracelets that is going for the charity fundraiser. So will Dracula make 36 bracelets, or will he have 36 bracelets? So if we think about this, the 22 that we had to add on was what he already had. He didn't make these 22. However, he did make these bracelets. He made 14 bracelets. So he doesn't make 36 total, but he will have 36 total. So Dracula will have 36 total bracelets for the fundraiser. So if it had asked, how many bracelets did Dracula make, then it would be 14, because he only made those 14 bracelets during that 35 minutes. So B of 35 equals 36 means that after 35 minutes, Dracula will have 36 total bracelets for that fundraiser. Now on this last one, it says if Dracula has a goal of having 100 bracelets, so we want 100 bracelets made in total, how long will it take him in minutes? So he wants 100 bracelets in total. The bracelets, again, is represented by our B of T, which is our Y value. The question is asking how long. How long represents our time, so we know that that's our T. Will it take him in minutes? And it's still in minutes. Everything is in minutes on this problem, so we don't have to convert, which is nice. It says we want our bracelets to be 100, so B of T we want to be equal to 100. But we already know the equation of B of T is equal to that 2/5 T plus 22. These two equations we want to be the same. We have 100 is equal to B of T, and we have this expression equal to B of T. Since both of these expressions are equal to the same thing, they're both equal to B of T, that means that we can set these two parts equal to each other. This can actually be written as 100 equals that 2/5 T plus 22. This is called the transitive property. They're equal to the same thing, therefore we can equal them to each other. Now we need to solve for that T. So to solve for that T, we need to actually subtract that 22 first. 100 minus 22 is 78 equals, we'll have that 2/5 T. To solve for T, we have a fraction multiplied to it. So we can get this fraction off of it by multiplying by the reciprocal, not the opposite reciprocal, just the reciprocal. If we multiply by 5 over 2, the 5 and this 5, because one's on top, one's on bottom, will end up canceling out because it's going to be equal to 1. And the 2 on top and the 2 on bottom will also become a 1. So we'll multiply both sides by that reciprocal of 5 over 2. So we'll have 5 times 78 over 2 will give us 195. And it will be equal to T. So therefore, this time, 195, again, is in minutes. So I'm going to write a sentence. It will take Dracula 195 minutes to have a total of 100 bracelets. Now, if I look back here to in the part that I have in pencil here, Dracula already had that 22 bracelets. So he's actually making 78 bracelets. He's not having those 78 bracelets. He's going to be making those. So it's actually going to take him 195 minutes to make the 78 bracelets to end up having a total of 100 bracelets. So understanding what the question is, he wants 100 total bracelets. So it'll take him 195 minutes to make that 78 to add on with that 22 that he already had. So word problems are finding the key information and interpreting what it means and plugging them into the equation that you're able to create.